All right, today is all about blocks and holes. We're trying to add some more puzzle things for our kind of puzzly maze game. And what we have is we're going to have these holes in the ground that the player can't walk across. But in order to walk across it, he could push a big boulder into the hole and then climb over the top of the hole because the boulder's inside. Also, the boulder is good at being kind of a shield against monsters. You can also have levels which just has a bunch of boulders in it. You can't push one boulder into another. You can only move one boulder at a time. If it hits another boulder, then you can't push it. And so there's a couple things you can do with that kind of stuff. But so we got to think about how to push boulders around. We need a couple new sprites though, so let's work on that first. So I'm going to create a new sprite. This will be we'll call this one a block. So the boulders are called blocks. It's a block thing, I guess. I don't know. What are we going to use for our blocks? Well, I like that, this sprite said, here's a boulder right here. We could just use that. It's right there, right at the top of the list. Boulder. That's what I make in origami class. I'm really good at origami boulders. I just take a piece of paper and scrunch it up. Ta-da! Nobody likes that joke either. So, okay, so anyway, that's a boulder. That's all it does. It just exists. But you can scoot it around. What else do we need? We need the holes, I guess. I don't really have a good sprite for this one. So if you want to make your own sprite, that's fine. But let's see. We'll call this one hole. So H-O-L, sprite hole. And then the one I've been using isn't great, but it kind of looks like a hole, I guess. This thing, item void. Not really sure how a hole is supposed to look like from the top. But anyway, that kind of looks like a hole. So I'll go with that one. So we have this hole. Yay. Okay, so we have our two sprites. And now we need our objects. Okay, so again, basically the same pattern. You create an object. What object do we want to create? Well, we'll start first with the block. So this will be object block. And we'll use our block sprite. That's this one. Well, I said blocks. That probably should be singular. So block, there's just one. And then do we say that it's solid? Oh, this is a good question. I think because it moves, we don't want to say it's solid. So don't say solid here. Even though it looks pretty solid, we don't want to do that. And then and we also need the other one, the whole object. So object whole. And we'll use the whole sprite. Whole sprite. Okay, so now we can put these things in our room. We've got the objects made. So we go to our room, and we're just going to put in a couple of test things. A couple of things we want to test is, can we move the block around in all directions? Maybe up, down, left, right. And then the other one is, what happens if we push it up against another block? Should it move both of them? We're trying to make sure that it doesn't. Another thing we'd like to see is our monsters can't go through the blocks. Okay, so I'll put a monster there. That's a left-right monster. See if it bounces off the block. That kind of implies that the block is a wall, so we might want to make block a child of wall. And then we also want to be able to push our blocks into a hole to see if that fills up. So maybe here we have to open the door first, and then so pick up that. That'll open the door, and then we have to push this down and push that into the hole so that we can get to the exit. In this case, do we have an exit? No, there's no exit, but maybe your exit's over here. Okay. So that seems like a pretty good test setup. Now, I would make this test room your first room. I wonder if it is my first room. It is, yeah. So just put all the objects. You wouldn't normally do this in a game, right? You wouldn't put all the objects in the first room. That would just confuse the player. Your poor player would say, well, what are all these things? You kind of want to introduce objects one at a time to your players as you go through the levels. But for testing purposes, and I'm a teacher, so grading purposes, it's nice to have all the objects in one room so I can test them out and see how they interact with each other. You have to ask questions about the blocks. Do they block the monsters? Hopefully, yes, we say. Should the block destroy anything? Like if you pushed it over a bomb, should it make the bomb blow up? Or if you push it over a detonator, should it allow you to do that? I don't know, but we're going to have to think about that. Because then anytime you add new objects to a game, you've got to think about how it's going to interact with all the other objects already in the game. Sometimes you get behaviors or interactions you didn't anticipate. That's called, what do they call it? There's a name for that. Emergent behavior. Okay. If you're a computer programmer doing video games, one of the things you dislike the most is something called emergent behavior. You don't want to have behaviors that you didn't anticipate in your game happening. Okay, so you want to avoid that. Okay, so so we got our things, but we haven't coded anything yet. We do need to solve a problem, though. Let me show you what the problem was. I'm trying to see. Yeah, check this out. Here's our problem. If I actually go up to, this is a different issue, but I've got my bomb sprite here. One thing I haven't done with my bomb sprite is I haven't made the collision mask complete yet. See how it just goes around the bomb part, but doesn't fill up the whole square. I think this is the reason why sometimes when you destroy everything around the bomb, including the bomb spot, the bomb destroys itself, and then you don't see the explosion. That's the problem. Okay. If I make this full image, and I'm suggesting don't do this, okay. But if you happen to listen to me earlier in earlier videos and earlier days, I said make everything full image. Remember that I said that? That was wrong. Everything should be full image except for this bomb. There's a reason for that. Now let me show you the reason. If I make it full image and then I go and blow stuff up, hit the detonator. We'll wait for it to start. You note that this causes a problem, right? So I go down here and I'm going to blow stuff up, and what you'll see is watch one of the bombs and see if you ever see the explosion. Let's see if this happens. Oh, I saw it. I didn't expect to see it. Why didn't I expect to see it? Let's look at our code to see actually what it's doing. So in our explosion, right, now that's the sprite. We want to go to the object. Explosion object at animation end. Oh yeah, we just destroyed that. But here in the create event, this is when we destroy everything. And I was thinking if it was full image and you destroy block 0, 0, that's exactly where the bomb is, right? Where the explosion is, I guess. And it will destroy itself. But that didn't happen. So my little theory about having full image there doesn't really pan out. Yeah, so my theory didn't quite work. But I would say if you're having that problem where you're not seeing the explosion, I would just to be on the safe side, just for the bomb sprite, I would not make it full image. I would just say automatic. Okay. And what that does is it leaves that top left corner as not being part of the collision mask. So when it goes and looks to see if anything's there to destroy, it's not going to see itself. Okay. That's what I was trying to avoid. But that doesn't seem to work, so I'll have to go back to the drawing board on that one. I thought I finally had that one figured out, but no. That was a real puzzle. Some people have the problem where they don't see the explosion. If you have that problem, then what you have to do is a lot more work. But I'm thinking if you leave your sprite, at least for the bomb, just a little smaller than the whole box, then you can avoid the problem where you can't see the explosion. All right, so let's go back to our topic, though, for today. We're looking at blocks and holes. Holes are really straightforward. What we don't want is we don't want the player to be able to walk over the hole. We're going to try to make the hole as some kind of impediment that you can't get around. Okay, here's our. Let me go collect my. Oops, I just blew myself up. Let me go collect my diamond, and then I'll open up the door, and I'll try to walk across that block. And the idea is you don't want to let the player do that. Okay, so I'm up here. I collect my diamond. Let's see if that diamond door thing works. Boy, that moves fast. Uh-oh. My door didn't open. Maybe there's a diamond down here. See a diamond anywhere? Why isn't my door open? I must have a hidden diamond somewhere. So So what if you have this problem? You think you collected everything. Let me check my door. Ah, there's no step event. The step event, I count up the number of diamonds. I check to see if the diamonds is less than or equal to 0. And then if it is, I destroy instance of self, which is the door, right? Because we're in the door object. So that should have worked. But I must have a hidden diamond somewhere. So you can look at, you can open up your room here, and you can look over here to see all the things that are in your room, and see there's 2 diamonds. See, did you see that? There's a diamond. Where's the other diamond? It's there, and where? Oh, it's under that block. Now, the old version of Game Maker, in the old version of Game Maker, when you put something in a square, it would delete whatever is there. Okay? It would delete what's underlying. But in this new version of Game Maker, if I move this block, you see there's the diamond, right? It was hiding. That will drive you nuts if you're trying to debug a game and you can't see it. But if you look over in this list, you can actually see it, right? So I'm going to get rid of this phantom diamond. So you got to be super careful. Those kind of bugs can really bite you and take you a long time to find out what's wrong. Okay, so here I go. I go pick up my single diamond now. And a couple things to note. One, that our ghost is going right through the boulder. We probably don't want that. Even though it's a ghost. Yeah, I know. Ghosts probably should be able to go through boulders. So maybe you make that choice. But here, see, I can walk right over the hole. And I'm behind the hole, too. That's not great. But so I don't want that behavior. I want to change it so that I can't walk over the hole. Yeah. Oh, look at that. That's really interesting. What is going on there? Oh, your screen is dead. Interesting. Let me pause here. All right. So we don't want to be able to jump over the holes. So we could put a collision event with the hole in the Explorer and say, no, you can't go that way. But the easiest thing to do is just make the hole a wall or behave like a wall. And the way you do that is you make it a child of wall. So if we go to Object Hole and we make it a child of wall, don't make it solid, but do make it a child of wall. So set the parent to Object Wall. Then when the Explorer tries to go through that, it can't because it's a wall. We also want similar behavior between the ghost and the block. And so we're going to make the block a child of wall as well. So if we go to the block, that too, we're just going to make it like it's a wall. Okay. So now wall has two children, wall blocks and holes. And let's see how the behavior of the game changes. To the Explorer and the ghost, I guess, it'll see a wall there. Watch the ghost. See how it bounces off the hole or off the boulder. And I'm stuck now. Why did I get stuck there? I'm out of alignment, so now I can't move. What haven't I done? Well, let's see. What haven't I done? I didn't go. What was that? It's not full image. It's not full image. Yes, right. Very good. So we look at our block to see which one's not full image. So we go to our block sprite, and then we look at the collision mask, and notice it's not full image. Or is it? Let's see. Collision mask. There it is. Yeah, it's just a little small. So you got to make sure that that says full image. And then also on the Explorer sprite too, that's full image, so that should have worked. That will keep them lined up and won't let them go into each other. So let's try that again. Again, like I said, the general recommendation is all your sprites should be full image, except for the bomb sprite. That should be automatic. Okay, so let's see if I can walk into one of these. Oh, I can. Look at that. I'm out of alignment again. Ooh, that's bad. Okay, well then, how do you fix that? Well, one way to fix it, and this is probably not what we want, but you can make it solid. So I'll make the block solid. I really didn't want to do that, but if it allows my character to go out of. Okay, so I'm going to walk into the boulder again, and see now by it being solid, I can't get stuck in it. You know, I don't get out of alignment. But we have an issue. Because I really don't want to make the blocks solid, but we might have to. We'll just leave it like that for now. But at least we got the behavior we want. Let's check the behavior with the hole. I want to make sure that I can't go through the hole. But see, same problem. I get up next to the hole, and I get out of alignment, and now I'm stuck. Okay, so what's the problem there? Again, it's the sprite, right? The sprite needs to be full image, right? Right now it's set to automatic, so we say full image. But again, this won't work either because we did that with the block, and we still were able to move forward even though there's a wall sitting right there. So let me try that. Okay, so I'm trying to see if the hole is going to stop it, and I don't get stuck on the hole, and I'm stuck again. Okay, I can't move. Once you're out of alignment, your game is done. You can't ever get out of alignment. Yeah. Okay, I'll be over in a second. So so I guess we have to make this hole solid too, which I don't want to do. The reason why I don't want to do it is because solid things don't let you collide with them. If you push something solid, or if you push one solid thing into another solid thing, then they don't ever collide, and then they don't ever trigger a collision event, and then you have all sorts of problems. But we'll sort these out. Like I said, I'm just trying this kind of for the first time, so I guess we'll have to learn. Okay, so we've got the blocks, we've got the holes. Now, how do we push the boulders around? That's our next topic. I'll make sure my recorder is going. Recorder is going. Okay, yeah. So first thing we have to do is we have to create a collision event between the block and the explorer. But the better place to do this would be on the block, surprisingly. Usually it's the explorer where I like to put my collision events, but not this time. Okay. So here we go to object block, and we add a collision event with, well, the explorer. Now this is weird because the block's not moving, it's the explorer that's moving into the block, but we're going to do it this way, and there's a reason. And we'll get to that reason in a bit. But so we're doing the collision on the other side. Anytime there's a collision, there's two things colliding. You can either do the collision code on the one side, like the explorer side, or you have another choice. You can do it from the point of view of the block. And so we're doing it from the point of view of the block. The block is colliding with the explorer. I know it's the other way around, but we're just going to do it that way, at least for now. Oh, there's my screen again. Yeah. Boy, I don't know what's going on today. Yeah, I'm having the same problem, Zach. Whew, that's not good. Yeah, my screen, not the screen on my desktop, but the screen for the class is now scrambling occasionally. This is not good. Okay, so what do? Well, we've got a couple issues. Our first issue is that the explorer can be going lots of different directions. That's the first thing. And it's really, really hard to keep two sprites kind of in lockstep. So what we're going to do is we're going to scoot the boulder a little bit at a time. And so how do we do that? We would say, yeah, let's just do some experiments. First, we'll say, let's do move. See what kind of move we got. Here, that's the speed. We have a point direction. We say, set direction is variable. Yeah, I think it's this one. I think that's the one we want. So we're going to base the motion of the direction of the block based on the motion of the explorer. So we're going to say here, we're going to say object explorer. Is that one of our choices? Explorer, yeah. Dot direction. So we want the boulder to move in the same direction as the explorer is moving. We already know that we're colliding with the explorer because we're in this event, right? We already know that the explorer is colliding with this And we only have one object explorer. If we had more than one, this would be problematic. But we only have one. So we're going to assume that this boulder is going to be moving in the same direction as the explorer that's colliding into it. Next, we're going to make it jump 8 pixels in that direction per frame. So we're going to say jump to position. Let's see if there's something like that. Jump to point. There it is. So grab that one. And where do we want to jump to? Well, we want to say 8 times other dot h speed. That's very weird. And is it relative? I think it is. It's relative to the position of the boulder. Okay? So what does this mean? It says, okay, if the explorer object is moving horizontally, then what we want to do is get that horizontal speed. It could be positive if it's going to the right or negative if it's going to the left, and multiply times 8. And we're going to move 8 pixels in that direction. Now clearly the explorer can only move vertically or horizontally, but it can't do both at the same time. So if it's moving vertically, the h speed is going to be 0, and so this isn't going to do anything. But we'll try this. Here it's the same equation, other dot v speed. V speed is the vertical speed. Yeah, so if you could drink that out in the hallway, that would be great. Thanks. And we'll make that relative too. So every time there's a collision with the boulder, we want the boulder to scoot 8 pixels in the direction that the explorer is pushing it. Okay, so let's see if that works. My guess is this probably doesn't work. Would be my guess, but we'll see. I'm always such a pessimist, I guess. I'm optimistically pessimistic. Okay, so the idea is, can I move this boulder? And notice it's not moving, okay? Not moving. Why is it not moving? Because it's solid, which means I never actually ever collide with it. I'm trying to collide with it, but I can't. Why can't I? Well, let's look at our movement commands. Like I'm moving down. Yeah, what do you think? Yeah. Oh, question. What's the question? Stock. Yeah, so make sure your boulder and your character sprites are full image, the collision mask on the sprites. So check your collision mask on the sprites, because they'll get stuck otherwise. Okay, so here I'm doing this. Am I ever looking to see if there's a wall in the way? The answer is no. I'm just going in that direction. If there's a wall there, it doesn't go. But if you have something solid and you collide with it, the collision event actually never does happen. Let's just verify that that's the case. Okay, so here we have object block, and what we're going to do is we're going to put a message on the screen that says, "Hey, this is happening." Okay, so I'm going to do that. How to put a message on the screen? Oh, my screen's going bad again. Better hurry. So if I say message, yeah, they took this out, so I have to actually execute code. So that's here. And again, darn it, this is frustrating. Yeah, my video card is going south for the winter as well. We'll wait till it finds its brains again. There we go. Okay, so what are we going to do? We're going to say a show debug message, and we're going to say what are we doing? This is the collision event. So colliding with Explorer. Okay, so let me move this over a bit. Make sure to put a close quote on that and a period, or a semicolon at the end, okay? So we're just going to bring up a debug message just to see if it's actually colliding. Yeah, question? Dot, typically. Yeah. It just ends the statement. In fact, the compiler really doesn't care if you put it there or not, if it's only a single line of code. But if you have a second line of code, it gets confused sometimes. So I'm just trying to get in the habit. Okay, so now what I'm hoping for is I see this message come up when I'm colliding with the boulder, and it doesn't. See how it doesn't come up? That means the collision event is never being called. It's not colliding. It's not good. Okay, so how do we fix this? I should have looked at this before class. What I remember is that we also have to put a collision event between the Explorer and the block, also on the Explorer as well. But this is where it gets really weird. We already have the collision event between the boulder or the block and the Explorer, but now we're doing it the other way. Yeah. I just said show debug message. This is temporary code, so you don't have to type that in. That was just to double check to see if we're actually calling the event and we're not. Okay, so we've already determined that. That's just temporary code. Yeah, question. Yeah. Yeah. Say, what did it say in the comment? That's what I'm trying to remember. Yeah, okay, we'll find out. So here, what we're going to do is we're going to add a collision event between the Explorer and the block. So now we're doing from the Explorer's type side of the deal. And what we want to do there is what we're doing is, what are we doing? We may block a child of wall. And so we're trying to get it so it doesn't behave like a wall in this case. So what we do is we create a collision event between the block and the Explorer, and then what we do is nothing. Which is weird. We're kind of trying to deactivate the normal behavior. How do you put a comment in the code? Yeah, so this will seem really strange. It's, why are we making an event that doesn't have any actions? Okay. Let's see if this actually works though. And then we can try to figure out how to do a comment. Uh-oh. These computers are so unreliable. Okay, so here I'm going to push it the block. Still not happening. Okay. So why isn't it happening? Because the block is solid. Okay, so I'm going to shut off that solid again. But this time we won't get stuck because now the boulder is moving. So now I'm going into the wall, and I'm no longer making it solid. Okay. Now it should allow the collision event to happen. Let's see if it does. Okay, so here we go. Oh, I still don't see the sign. Still not colliding. Ooh, that's bad. Okay, so we look at the Explorer. The Explorer's not solid, yes. The wall is not solid. Why isn't the wall solid? Yours worked? So what's your setup? Good question. Yeah, the wall's supposed to be solid, but the boulder's not solid. I'm really surprised that we're not seeing our little message here. This collision is not happening. So it's not letting us collide. That's weird. Yeah, so I'm a little stumped. So let me pause here and let me take a look at some older code. We'll say, okay, I was a little confused. This message thing that we did, I thought it wasn't happening, but it is actually happening. Let's look at that. Which one? This one. Yeah, this one. Okay, I was thinking a little box would pop up on the screen, but that's not what show dialog debug message does. It actually puts a message down here in the output window. So let's try it again and see if we see any messages in the output window. Okay, so here we go. So I'm watching the output window. I guess we can't see it while we're doing it, but I'm going to crash into it and see if we see any of those things in the debug message. And if we look here, there's no messages. Okay. Oh, there it is, colliding with the Explorer. So what that tells us is that the collision event is happening. Okay, that's good. Okay, that's really good. Okay, but the block's not moving. Why isn't the block moving? Let's find out. Okay, so what wouldn't work here? We've got the explorer's direction. It's moving, it could be moving 0 or 90 or 180 or 270. It's not relative. And then here, we say jump to point. What are we jumping? We want the boulder to move, right? And we're in the boulder. Are we in the boulder? Yeah, we're in the boulder or the block. Why is that? Right. It's because the boulder is solid. Okay, so the boulder is solid. Let's not unsolidify the boulder. And we'll see if we still get those messages. But I think if we unsolidify the boulder, then we get stuck. Yeah. But if the boulder moves, then we don't get stuck, right? So, yeah, see, I get stuck, but the boulder should be moving by now, and it's not. So the problem is not we're not getting stuck. If the boulder was moving, then we wouldn't get stuck, right? Right. So we got to get the boulder moving. Did the collision event happen? We look, and yeah, we're colliding. So it's still happening. So what's wrong with this code? 8 times other.h speed. What is the speed of our explorer? I think it's 8. Oh, yeah, I think I know. Okay, so if we, are going down, like we've been going down this whole time, what's our explorer speed? We made a constant, but here it's hard-coded to 8, okay? So, oh, wow. What does that mean? So usually the speed I use for the explorer is typically 4. But then I'd multiply times 8. The problem is, if we set our speed to 8, then on the Explorer, then we have to divide the speed of our boulder by 2. So we can't jump 8. We have to jump 4. Yeah. Right. Everyone, that would work. But the problem is it has to evenly divide into 32. So that's what I'm trying to do, because 4 times 8 is 32. If I was going a speed of 4, then I move 8 at a time. Because what happens when the boulder hits the wall is what I'm worried about. So, so what I'm saying then is our equation's wrong here in the boulder. Instead of, because this is we're going at a different speed, so I would change this to 4. But that still doesn't explain why it's not moving. If it were moving, it would be jumping too far, okay? Because you go 8 times 8, that's what's 8 times 8? Some big number. That's not what we want. 64. We want it to jump 1 square at a time. Okay, so I push it. No, get stuck. Okay, so I've got to figure out why I get stuck and why the boulder's not moving. So what I've done is I've loaded up my old game, the one that works. And we'll see if we can figure this out. Okay, so here's my room 1. I got some boulders. This is the behavior we're trying to get to. Okay. Let's see if this will run. There's a hole sitting there. And I really struggled with this last time, so I know this is... See how the boulder moves 1 square at a time? You push it and moves. That's the behavior we're hoping for. And this isn't the game we're working on yet. This is a different game from last term. But then if it collides with the hole, it stops. And if you try to push this into the wall, and notice I'm not getting stuck. We do have a directional character. We're going to do that eventually. But why is it working? So we're going to check all our settings here just to see. Okay, so where's our objects here? We want to check a few things. We want to make sure that the walls are solid. They are. Okay. Walls are solid. And notice the door and the holes are walls. But ooh, yeah, that's right. The boulder is not supposed to be a wall. Okay, so let's try that. We're gonna change that in the other one. So what I'm saying here is that if we go to the block, we don't want it to be a child of wall. We're going to get rid of that. So we're going to set this back to none, okay, and close this. Okay. So go to your block and make sure it's not a wall. I thought that was a requirement, though, but maybe not. Okay, so now let's see if it'll move. Oh, see, the ghost went right through it, though. Oh, look at that. There's our problem. Ooh, that's really weird looking. Yeah, so I'm moving the block. So the problem was I made the block a child of wall, and it was treating it like a wall, so it wouldn't let you go into it. But now I can slide the boulder around. Okay. Ooh, that's cool. It's a little fast, but that'll work. But one thing we lost was the ghost. Notice now the ghost is not treating the boulder as a wall, and it's going right through the boulder. You can't move it. Okay, so let's check the equation then. Make sure you have changed your equation a little bit. Okay. You get the direction from the Explorer, and then what you do, instead of 8, you say 4. The reason why we do that is we have to move. We want to keep the blocks aligned with the grid as well as we move them. So to do that, since we're moving at a speed of 8, and for it to jump 32 pixels, which is the next box, then we have to take the 8 and change it to a 4, because 4 times 8. Okay, so let's just double check a couple things. Make sure your wall is solid, first off. Secondly, make sure that your block is not a child of wall, and that it's not solid. Yeah, make sure it's not solid. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So, but we have a couple strange interactions that we have to deal with. First of all, we have to check something before we move the block. Okay? And our problem is, what happens when we push the block into a wall? So here, what happens? Watch what happens. Blunk, chunk. Okay? I just pushed the boulder into the wall. That's a problem. That shouldn't be allowed, right? If there's something there, you shouldn't be able to push the block anywhere. Right? So that's a problem. So we have to check first. We've got to look before we leap. That's here. We have to be a little bit more discerning when it comes to whether or not we can move. Okay? So what we want to do is something called a check object. We're trying to see if there's a specific object at a spot. So I'm going to say if here and see what our choices are. If variable, if expression, if undefined, if instance exists. That sounds interesting. Maybe if mouse is pressed, mouse down. No, that's all key stuff. Gamepad stuff, collisions. If object at place. I think that's the one we want. If any object at place. Oh, maybe that's even better. Okay, I would choose this one. Okay, we're trying to see if there's anything in our way before we move. And so what you want to do is you want to copy these same equations from here and put them in here. We want to look to see that there's nothing in the way before we move in that direction again. So we have to say relative here. If any object at place, we want to say if there's not any object at place. So make sure you click on the little not checkbox. and then move this around. Make sure that it's on the right side of this so it gets connected this way. So the only way that we can move the block forward is if there's nothing in the way. Okay? So hopefully now when we try this, we push the boulder, and it should see the wall and say, oh, I can't go that way. My fear is that we'll get stuck again, but we'll see. Yeah, that's the problem. So here, see that? That's not good. Okay. Okay, so why would it do that? Yeah, so I have a problem there. But at least the block is not going into the wall anymore. That's good. There's another issue, right? So we go and open the door. Oh, this is so fast. And what I'm trying to do is make the block and the hole collide. And again, the hole is a wall, so it doesn't let us do that. Okay? But for some reason, it's letting my Explorer merge with the boulder, which is bad. So let me check my other game. I just want to check the boulder to see. I'm trying to see if it's solid. It is solid. Okay? And my other game is not, so we'll try that. So we're going to the boulder, solid. And we'll see if that fixes the problem with the boulder merging with the Explorer. Oh, boy. Ooh, that's good. It works. Okay? Very good. Oh, I just blew myself up. Okay. Anyway, that's exciting. So we've got the boulders moving. Yay! And they move correctly. What did I do? I just made the boulder solid. You try to push a solid thing into a wall, it won't go. And if you try to walk into something that's solid, it's not going to let you. But that's where we're stopped for today. Okay. We still have a problem though. We have to get the blocks and the holes to merge. And then once we have that done, I think then blocks and holes are done. But we'll fix that next time.